we are in this together.
You have gifts that I don't have, and I have gifts that you don't have.
That we must see. Now is the time, because it's when we all get together that we will make the changes that we must make. We are the world.
Welcome to Malcolm and We, a streaming network bringing all the new shows that there are in the world, and we're heard worldwide. And Malcolm and We is a show that I have in partnership with We the World, which is an organization that supports other organizations trying to save our planet. And today we're lucky enough to have Ingrid Fortmeyer as our guest. And I'm going to let Jana Larson introduce her. Go, Jana.
All right. Thank you, Malcolm. Yes, today we have Ingrid Fortmeyer, and she is an HR consultant and a sign language interpreter and a corporate #consciousness coach. And she's very involved with World Unity Week, which I'm sure she'll talk about. Also, she is an avatar master, and you may ask, what is that? So I went to their website, and I'm reading from one little part that I found. According to many graduates, Avatar is the most powerful, purest self-development program available. It is a series of experiential exercises that enable you to rediscover yourself and align your consciousness with what you want to achieve. You will experience your own unique insights and revelations. It's you finding out about you. So thank you for being here today, Ingrid. Lots to talk about. I had never really heard about this until I was investigating about you. It's all quite fascinating.
Very cool. I'm glad to be here. Thank you both for having a platform to really promote the awareness of all the different things that are happening in the world and how we can all collectively up our own personal games as individuals, but also collectively work together to create some really exciting changes in the world today.
So how did you get involved with this?
With Avatar?
With Avatar. Let's start with that.
Yeah, we can do that. I actually met my Avatar master. We had been friends. We used to do at the Kerrville Folk Festival down in Texas, Kerrville, Texas. And we worked on about sustainability projects, and we were very interested in exploring spirituality and things like that. And then we just lost touch with each other. You know how you do sometimes. In the years I was working for Southwest Airlines in the people department at that point. That's the people department is like HR. And then I moved on and she moved on and we lost contact. And then years later, we connected on Facebook. And she reached out to me and she's like, I did this thing. And if I had known this stuff then, none of the like, because we had both been through like breakups recently, she's like, I would have just blown through all that heartache so much faster and blah, blah, blah. And so I was just like, oh, really? I want to know more. And then I went to the website myself and I learned about an enlightened planetary civilization. The goal of Avatar is to contribute to the creation of an enlightened planetary civilization, which is essentially the great work that every great organization and even religions and different like things like that have pointed towards, and they all have their own names for it, but it's essentially contributing to the betterment of all life forms and moving things forward in that way. And that inspired me so much. I went, I want to find out more about this. And then to find out that it's you learning about you of like, well, how does this thing operate? Like, what's happening in here that gets like the results that I'm getting in my or not getting in my life. And so I was really profoundly curious as to if there was something, because being in HR for at the time I'd been in HR, I worked for Southwest Airlines for about 10 years. Prior to that, I had been with another organization for 6 years. And I was basically only doing training and development type of stuff. And I had literally thousands and thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of training and development for things like leadership and development, personality. People are familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I used to train on that. I used to train on Myers-Briggs, personality, like different things that we would do. So I had to be trained in all of those things. And then, of course, being in SHRM, so I had all these licenses and all these certifications and all these hours and hours of training. But then I would see these results. I'd get back, and in the organizations, people would come in and they'd do it. And it was just like, these great ideas didn't get implemented into their lives, didn't get the results of actually, I mean, they might have little bits and changes, but then when I see the results of Avatar and my own personal experience in the course, and then moving on and becoming a licensed master to deliver it and seeing the results that people have, just completely floored me. I mean, it's currently at this time, it's in 24 different languages and being done in 153 countries. And there's hundreds of thousands of Avatar course graduates that are around the world.
Ingrid, could you give us an example of what Avatar is? I get it spiritually what it is, and it's you know, to me, when you're talking about it, it's almost like for a while during the 70s I was into Buddhism, and it's sort of like enlightenment. Yeah, that's the best way I could describe it. Sort of getting to know yourself and the inner you. But what exactly is Avatar, and how do you implement it with other people?
Well, Avatar it's a 9-day self-development course. And so it is a series of exercises that are designed to be used in progression to help you to unlock the consciousness, the secrets of your own consciousness. Like, how does your own consciousness work? And as you do the exercises, it's all experiential. One of the things that Harry Palmer is the author of the Avatar materials, and he talks about the difference between like reading about an apple and eating an apple, because there's word lessons. Like, I could look at the definition of an apple, I could read marketing sales thing, I could even read about what an apple is supposed to taste like, but unless I actually eat the apple, I don't have an experience with that thing. And so the Avatar tools are experiential. You have to explore your own consciousness. Or like a ballet dancer, you know, you can watch ballet videos on TikTok all day long, or, you know, even try and do the exercises yourself. But unless you actually practice and do these exercises to gain the skill to be effective in it, then you're missing the mark. You have to have the experience of doing it in order to get the results from it.
Do you go to a retreat? How do you get yourself immersed in the experience of starting of like, who am I, to, oh, that's who I am?
Well, the very first part of the Avatar course, there's 3 sections. Section 1 is called resurfacing, and it's done in a couple of days. And section 2 is the exercises. And then section 3 are the rundowns. And so what happens is you put all of those together, then you have the full course. And resurfacings and courses are done all over the world, both on Zoom and in person and small and regional events. So there's the website is www.theavatarcourse.com. And there's a schedule of events for the different countries, the different things that are coming up. In fact, we have one starting in the Americas, starts on August the 12th. So
this is good
coming up right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So you have all this background, and you're a sign language interpreter too. So how did that all come together? Did you start out in school as a sign language interpreter, and then you somehow got into HR, and then you somehow got with Southwest?
No.
Did you just land on the planet and you just said, all right, here I am?
I actually was born into a family that had, I have a cousin who has now passed away. His name is Eric, and he was born, his mother had German measles in utero. And so she was born, or he was born deaf and also had some other disabilities, but he was older than me. And I got to know sign language as I was growing up. And I mean, he was smarter than, you know, half of, like, you'd put a whole family, and I come from a very interesting family, as we all have, I'm sure, family that you go, "Ugh." But there's like the love that we had learning the language at the beginning, so to be able to communicate with him led me to looking at doing interpreting when I was in starting college. However, I chose not to pursue that path. I was there was very much a concern that I had a lot of beliefs about my mother was a school teacher in the public school system, and I saw the way that the deaf education programs were handled, and I went, I'm not going to spend my life banging my head against a wall. I don't think I really want to do that. And kind of simultaneously, as I was looking at it, I also so I did get my interpreter training program at that time, but I didn't go on and pursue it because I had already gone to my advisor and said, get me out of here as quickly as possible. And he dumped me into the HR track. The Human and Family Resource and Development was my major at that time. So that was in 95.
And that would have, the sign language interpretation would have been a very helpful skill when it comes to HR and being able to work with diverse population, especially regarding deaf and people with other disabilities too. So it was helpful.
In the entire time that I worked in HR over 25 years, I've only had one person who was deaf that I worked with as an employee in where I was working, that I needed to use that particular skill set.
How do you extend this avatar training to people that would like we're doing a Malcolm and we and how does that like help we the world? Did you impress upon people on what's happening in the world situation and how we're killing ourselves?
Well, I think that
so that's probably somehow at some point you got involved with World Unity Week, or like John Raymer with Compassion Games or something, because we have this big conglomeration now that's going on with, I call it a coalition. It's my made up word, with
coalition of convergences and all kinds of stuff. Yes, I love that. Coalition. Nice. So how I got involved with the World Unity Week was I was stuck home with COVID just like everybody else. And we were starting to do our avatar things. We had, for the most part, had been doing it mostly in person. And so we were shifting and transitioning to learning how to do things online. So I was learning about how to use Zoom. I was learning about how do I get, I wasn't super tech savvy, and
you are now. My gosh, you are now.
Still have way to go. Many things to learn. I definitely have learned a lot, but long story short, there was the first World Unity Week. They were having thought storms, and thought storms actually is what started Avatar, because they had a convergence room for thought storms. And thought storms are, before there was Avatar, there was a research project on, the question is just like, when you link computers together and they network more effectively, if you could link human processing together and network the group together more effectively, would that create a result to have more cooperation, better outcomes for more people, decreased conflicts, things like that? Like what would the results be? And so the Thought Storm project was developed, and there's actually a Thought Storm manual that you can get, and anyone can do it. It has a thing that you can lead it, and the results were phenomenal to people that had begun with that. There were people that did it for a period of time, like as they were starting it off, the people saw increases in their own personal lives. They had increases in their relationships, better business things that got enhanced. They had increase in their money streams, and like their lives started to flow better as a part of that. And that's one of the results that you see often in any avatar exercise, is a freeing of attention that creates more of a flow in your life. Actually, as you were asking me about, Malcolm, about how do we address the things that are going on in the world, one of the simplest things is the Compassion Project. And the Compassion Project is designed to increase the amount of compassion in the world. And we use the Avatar Compassion exercise, and it's 5 simple steps. And I'd wondered if you'd be willing to let me lead you and anyone else who's watching this through it.
Go for it.
Okay, all right. So the exercise is designed to increase the amount of compassion in the world, and its expected result is a personal sense of peace. So select somebody that you'd like to extend some compassion to. Okay. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his, her life. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his, her life. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. And with attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning about life. So how was that exercise for you guys?
It was good. It reminded me two things. It reminded me of when, again, I was in going to a lot of Buddhist lectures, and what we would do before the lecture, we would all do the Om Shanti 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 to get into the rhythm of the world and what the vibrations were.
Right.
And then the second thing I was thinking about is I used to go to group therapy. And what we used to do is that was like a one-on-one type of thing where, you know, we would go in the group, and if you really cared for somebody there, it was very similar type of thoughts that you gave to them, that you wanted the best for them. And when they could receive that and they knew that and they thanked you, that feeling of fulfillment was there for you, that you could step out of your own consciousness, stepping out of your own needs and wants, and be able to contribute to someone else. That was the main thoughts, that you can contribute. You're not alone in the world. You can contribute and help others alleviate what their problems are. Maybe not alleviate, but give them, you know, spiritual assistance. That's what you were doing. That's what I felt.
Awesome. Very cool.
For me, I was thinking of a person I'm having a very difficult time with. It's a breakup. And so I realize I'm going through a grieving process, and I'm really trying to get past my anger. So I use it as a kind of attempt to help myself forgive. Malcolm knows what I'm talking about. And
There are no secrets between me and Yana.
it's not about Malcolm, it's about somebody else. But I think it kind of helped, maybe, sort of.
It's good.
I hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the neat thing about these exercises. This is just one of over 25 exercises that are done in just section 1 of the Avatar course. So section 1 is just that couple days of resurfacing, which is basically uncovering your blueprint. What are the reference points of beliefs that you use about yourself, about government, about work, about relationships, about money, about other countries, about other cultures, about, like, there's just so many different things that you start to explore of, like, what do I believe about this? And then The mission of Avatar in the world, and I know we're running close on time, is that the mission of Avatar in the world is to catalyze the integration of belief systems. So when we perceive that the only difference between us is our beliefs, and that beliefs can be created or discreated with ease, the right and wrong game will wind down, the co-create game will unfold, and world peace will ensue.
That's beautiful. Isn't it neat that we all know each other, because we're all working towards that in our own ways, and that's what I love about this show and the people that well, I'm the person that lines up the guests. So Malcolm's meeting a lot of people, and but the thing is that we're everyone's so different. Their approach is really different. Whatever they're doing is, whether it's through restoring mangroves in Tanzania, or helping children in Uganda, or all the things that we're working on, all of us. So we're all coming together, and that's what I like about all of this positive, enlightening things that we do.
I'm an old hippie from the 70s.
Me too.
And you sort of have the songs, you know, what the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Harry Palmer, who is
That's correct.
materials. I have to show you this real quick.
Or we are the world.
For
And
sure.
then we have a song
No,
too.
you can't see it. Oh,
You can't see it.
yeah,
No, you
it's
can't see it.
Living Deliberately is the book. It's Harry Palmer wrote it. It's the first book that he put out, that he goes and he talks about in the 70s, and some of the things that like he even talks about. He has some talks that he gives that you can watch. You can download them for free on the Avatar EPC Media, or on the avatarcourse.com. There's downloads, and he talks about like these meditation things that he would go in and the adventures of driving in a Volkswagen bus and different things, like just to fill us in, to get like
The
get
hippie
it over him.
man.
Exactly. Who's he?
Well, I tell this story. Our audience knows this. But back in the 70s, and I had it was a fuller beard, longer hair, and I used to wear a Nehru jacket a lot, and with love beads, and I was into transcendental meditation. So some of my friends used to call me Maharishi Mahesh Malcolm.
That's awesome.
But I was into that whole aura. I never perfected it. I always wanted to step out of myself, which is the hardest thing to do, because you know you're controlled by your mind.
Yeah, well,
You didn't do enough drugs, Malcolm.
and your mind has its own voice.
Well, the reality that you would like to create then is to stop creating, like when you stop creating me, you show up. Like
Right.
the undefined essence of your beingness, of who you really are. That is not the identities that we create. It's not the beliefs that we have about ourselves or others. It's not all these definitions that separate us from one another. It's
Right, because our inner self, well, this is just our physical, our physical shell that's based on genetics, and how it all transpired and occurred and happened and metastasized. Think of another word.
But the thing is, as you get more into this, you realize that the commonality that people have. I mean, versus the difference, it's a certain difference the way you look, the way you think, but there's a commonality if you can get into the being of a person.
yes.
The whole,
Yeah,
or
the thought.
it's very common what people want. You want to be loved. You want to be, there's certain practical things you have to eat, drink, and feel safe.
Yeah. It's interesting that we didn't come with an instruction manual. And I kind of think of the Avatar materials, and we joke about a lot of people that have done Avatar talk about it. It's like we finally get an instruction manual for this thing. Like, how do you drive the human? And as you go
As a
through,
mother, I always wondered that.
Well, that's what I said. I had an instruction manual. It was my mother.
Your
That's
Jewish
awesome.
mother.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's beautiful.
But
Well, I
anyway,
never heard about this, so I think this is fascinating. Did you learn anything, Malcolm?
uh, I've relearned things.
Cool.
Y-
That's cool.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, when we get old like this, we're starting to
yeah.
go,
Well, yeah.
"Oh."
I lost my spiritualism,
Yes,
Well, it's
and
really
this
cool.
and this sort of brings me back.
it does. That's what is keeping us young, Malcolm, right?
Well, I don't know about you. It's not keeping me young.
Well, you guys,
No, spiritually, yes. I'm kidding.
the
But
belief about youth, though, that's interesting. Is like, what beliefs do we have about aging? What beliefs do we have about, our physical versus like whatever? Like all of these things are so fun and like the oldest avatar that I remember going through on a course that I personally interacted with was like 86 years old, and totally just like so excited to learn about what was happening in his consciousness as he was in this particular phase of his life, and what did
Wow.
it mean, and what did he want to accomplish, what mark did he, like, to see him setting his goals of like what are the things that I want to do, and how do I want to create my life, and how do I want to create a difference in the world while I'm
So
here.
he
Awesome.
was reinventing himself at 86.
Absolutely. Yeah.
well,
Cool.
I'm
Yeah.
reinventing myself almost every day.
Aren't we all?
Well, because we
It's-
forget, so we have to like,
Yeah.
I know it's or that we never knew.
right?
It's like the age of enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's the other thing is the more you know, the more you know you
No,
need
you
to know.
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, the more you
exactly.
need, the more you facts you find out, the more things you realize that you don't know, and then you have to find out those additional facts. When you know everything, that means you know nothing.
Right. Youth is wasted on the young.
No, I mean, I mean, it's
Well,
nice
I
to be
mean,
young.
what I'm saying is like, if you
No,
knew,
I know the yeah.
you knew then what you know now, just think how much more fun you would have had.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun.
Well, I did too, but I would have had
But
more.
anyway, we're running out of time. But is there any
Uh,
way that Ingrid, that we can get a hold of you, or the audience out there can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. The avatarcourse.com is the main website, and you can look up masters all over around the world where you're at, or you can put in specifically that you're interested, because they have a find a master in feature where you can just sign up saying that you're interested in doing the avatar course, and that you'd like Ingrid Fortmeyer to be listed as the master that you contacted, and I'm happy to connect with anybody. Also, my email address is avatarlucidliving.com. Nope, I apologize. avatarlucidliving@gmail.com. There we go. I'll get it out eventually. And at the World Unity Week events and the different things that we're doing as we are, what did you call it? Coalescing?
our coalition, yes.
Coalition of events of people that are working on these similar projects of moving the world forward in harmonious ways and towards world peace. Those, I'm going to be in the hub, which is Here You Belong.
And I'm going to help.
Yeah. Now, do we have to call you Master, Ingrid?
You don't have to call me Master, Ingrid.
Or better yet, Mistress Ingrid.
Mistress Ingrid.
Neither one. I'm happy with no labels. It's all great.
No, that's good. No, actually, it should be no labels.
Right, exactly.
We're all spiritual and free.
I love it. I love it. What I would like to do is to send you, Jana, I guess, the links, some downloads for the compassion exercise so people can download it for themselves. Also, a link to there's a magazine called Learning to Live Deliberately that they can get a copy of that on a PDF. And
well, we have a Facebook page for Malcolm and We, so that would be perfect, because this will all go to go to malcolmpresents.com and then to his YouTube, and then it'll also be on our Buzzsprout podcast. But we also have the Facebook page, so we can put all the information there too. So there'll be
Excellent.
lots of places to see it.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, it's a really interesting time in the world. We actually have some mini courses, which are really great explorations that people
Let's
can kind of
talk
walk
about
themselves
that.
through. Oh,
Having a
absolutely.
show on Malcolm
That,
Presents.
that might be the next show. Because
All right.
Exactly.
at the last minute. I just want to, Ingrid, this show will probably be online and on Malcolm Presents about another week.
Okay.
Probably like Wednesday or
Thank you.
Thursday. And when you reach it, do me a favor, could you share it with your group? Because that's the
I
way
sure
we,
can.
we do the marketing on the social media,
Absolutely. I'd be
on the
happy to do
social
that.
network.
Yeah.
Because as I was kidding, but we're looking to reach the first 1 million people, and then we're going to have this big party.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The more the merrier. As
Yeah.
we all get more connected. That is absolutely sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And take a look at the shows, and let Yana know what you think or what you could add, or what you can. We welcome you as a part of the board of directors.
Right. Let's go from me to
Me to
we.
we.
as
Yes,
we
me to
all
me. I
And-
love that. That's great.
And anybody that has great ideas that will propel us, or I mean, my thing is communications. The more people that we have that we can communicate to, or has ideas of how to communicate, the better the show will be.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds
And
wonderful.
with that, thank you very much, Ingrid.
Thank you.
I
You've
love
been
the
a
name
great
Fortmeyer.
guest, Ingrid. Learned a lot.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And you're listening to Malcolm and We, heard exclusively on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming network meant to enlighten and entertain you. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
The objective of the organization We the World is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we